The gaming industry has been pretty rough lately. Publishers are now asking for $80 games, and companies like Microsoft and Nintendo are hiking their console prices to a point where they are basically mediocre to absolutely awful value, especially compared to what was offered over the past decade or so. It feels like we are seeing basically official scalp pricing now, and it's not great. However, simply paying full price for a game is not the only way that you can play them nowadays. There are other services like Game Pass where you have access to a wide library of titles for a monthly fee. And as controversial as these services are, I think it's more important than ever now to discuss them now in the current market. So in this video, I want to discuss the value of Game Pass currently and other similar services in this market. In an industry where for the most part companies are trying to push the narrative that you don't own your games anymore even if you buy physical, combined with the force upcharging and pricing, how enticing is Xbox Game Pass currently? First off, I do want to note off some unfortunate things that have happened with Game Pass over my last video about it that have changed. First off, the price has increased across the board for the subscription. Now, to be clear, it's not a substantial increase. $20 a month for Ultimate is actually on par with basically every other major subscription service for the most part. However, any price hike in general sucks, and unfortunately, I currently cannot find at many sites that carry Game Pass keys that offer the service at a substantial discount anymore. Sites like CD Keys are not showing currently any stackable Game Pass deals, which is a real bummer as that was one area that made Game Pass really enticing for me. Now, are the lack of keys and Microsoft announcing the $80 game price hike later in the year just a way to entice more users to pay for and use Game Pass with its increased pricing? Who really knows, honestly? It's not really confirmed, and I think that's up to you to reason. I think there is some strong ground to support it, but regardless of whether or not you think it's true, just overall, it's not great for the consumer to have to pay even more for games and subscription services. With that being said, the quality rollout of Game Pass titles and features has been quite good lately. Not only are we seeing the normal popular titles like Call of Duty releasing day one, but there have been a couple of key titles that have provided a lot of value for the service. Games like Balatro, Doom the Dark Ages, Expedition 33, and Metaphor ReFantasio are all fantastic and highly praised, and are now just included with your subscription without having to pay anything extra. Keep in mind that the full price of these 4 games alone total to almost a full year of Game Pass Ultimate, so you already are getting a year's worth of value alongside the other titles on the platform. There have also been some cool additional new features like the recently released Xbox Retro Classics lineup, allowing you to play old school Atari and DOS games onto your consoles, and you have other things too, like the revamped reward system, allowing you to earn more digital goods or even extra months of Game Pass by simply playing games on the service. Now, obviously, the value for these titles and features are all subjective to how interested you are at playing them, because not having any intent or interest will completely kill the value proposition that Game Pass offers. But I am honestly very surprised at how many home runs the Game Pass suite has received in the past year. And the ability to play all of them for that same $10 to $20 a month without needing to pay any extra makes it quite enticing in my opinion. Now, one of the biggest arguments against Game Pass, or really any subscription-based service, is the fact that you technically do not own the content you are paying for, and once the subscription ends, if you decide to cancel, your access to the games go away. People have vowed that they will never buy any of these subscription services and will always purchase either physical or digital copies for one reason or another. And while I think this is a completely valid statement, and there are some major benefits with directly buying an actual disc or digital copy of a game, the reality is that a majority of actual Game Pass subscribers currently, from what I've seen, are more than satisfied enough with actually just playing these games by any means possible. And they are okay with paying monthly to have the ability to play this curated library, even more so due to the price increases. And the thing is that with these services too, it's not just the games, right? There are other features too that, simply just buying a game directly, you probably won't get access to. In my opinion, simply having the ability to choose how we play and purchase our games is great, And there are pros and cons to both sides of the fence here. There's no really correct way to play games, and it all really comes down to how much you care about keeping the games forever and having the ability to trade and sell your games for physical discs. Though if you are buying digital, that second argument doesn't really matter. To wrap it up here, and to be completely honest, I doubt most people will immediately stop buying games because of the price increase. They never really did for the $70 price increase a couple years ago, and I highly doubt that they will do it here with the $80 base price. So we need to take value based on what the current market will be now and in the future rather than looking in the past, because to be honest, I doubt that we're going to see any massive changes. And so in that context, Game Pass has never looked better, with some great releases and features recently, and the service continues to grow with more and more content to come. If you are someone who wants to have a bunch of different games to play, both old and new, then I honestly think Game Pass offers a lot for the $10 to $20 a month price tag it asks for. For a single year of the highest Ultimate tier, that's about equivalent to 3 to 4 modern full price games, and sometimes those games may even also show up on the service as well in the future. So you are getting a lot of value if you are actually interested in the games on this platform. But even if you have no intent on grabbing the service ever, I think at the very least, we can appreciate the fact that Game Pass is a great option for many to play and try new games, and is not the rule that Microsoft is trying to force the hand. And having that choice is always going to be the most important thing in my honest opinion. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one later.